Today we're going to be playing against Emir, the 1000 rated intermediate CPU, and we're going to focus this game on the principles of the opening game. And so my opponent's white and opens with d4, and basically the principles we've already talked about them in other videos, but the first thing we want to do is control the center of the board. So pushing up a pawn and making sure that we're controlling some of these center squares. So the response here is c4. Now this pawn is undefended, so it is free to take. I'm wondering if it would actually be better though to defend, so that if they take me, like for example g6, f6, if they were to take this pawn, I can take back with the knight, and now I have a knight in the center of the board, which is a pretty good position. So I'm going to choose to defend this pawn and focus on step 2, which is developing the minor pieces. So once we've sort of taken control of the center, yeah, we do want to focus on developing our minor pieces. So this is a pretty good move. This is e4, putting pressure on the knight. And so, I need to think about getting to safety. There's not really a great place for this knight, unfortunately. So maybe we can retreat back somewhere. We could go somewhere like here. But then when this comes, we're sort of in a tricky spot. So I think let's go ahead and pull our knight back to b6. So developing minor pieces is our next step. So maybe the next thing I'm going to do is go... maybe here, just to attack this pawn. Okay. So now that he's putting pressure on this knight, I think I'm going to go ahead and move this knight here. Yeah, so our opponent is very aggressive, so just coming kind of all out on the offensive, not giving us a lot of opportunity to develop. So our opponent's playing very aggressively, very quickly, attacking this knight. And so I'd love to defend with a move like maybe like g7, but this pawn is in the way. So I think my options are pretty limited, but one thing I could do is just push this pawn forward, perhaps. Okay. Now queen attacking this pawn right here, but it has plenty of defenders. Also attacking the knight, but again, plenty of defenders there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out... So I have a couple options. I mean, the first thought that comes to mind is to, and again, remember, at this point, we're still trying to develop the minor pieces. So my thought is to push forward pawn to e6, leaving a discovered attack on the queen, sort of forcing him to take action, either taking, which he probably won't do, or retreating. And then moving the pawn is going to allow me to develop the bishop if I want. And the reason I wouldn't develop this bishop is because there's not many great squares for it to go. So like I can't go here and I can't go here. And then if I go here, he might just push the pawn forward, and then I have to retreat back to d7 anyways, which is then blocking my queen in. So I'm going to go ahead with this move, also knowing that if he takes with the pawn, so this is another thing, if he takes with the pawn here, then I can develop my bishop to a safe square. Okay, so moving the queen, there's not really much you can do here, so I think this is fine. Let me think about this next move. So I'm looking to develop this bishop maybe to... So actually the problem is there's not many good squares that I can go to. Here and here are protected by the queen, these two. Going here, I don't love it. Another thought I have is, so he's got 3 defenders on this square, but I have 3. Oh no, I only have, well, I have 3 attackers, but yeah, he has 3 defenders, so I'm going to lose this battle. So I think, man, this is tricky. Also, if I go bishop d6, he can go knight b5 and now attack the knight, and I don't, or attack the bishop, and I don't have any good response to that other than to just retreat. So maybe I'll develop my bishop. I'm gonna bring my bishop here. This is definitely a tougher game than the other CPUs, but that's good. Okay, so actually here, this is good. We have an opportunity to create a fork, except actually that this bishop is guarding this square. So my first thought was, let's go here, and we're forking the king and this bishop, but we could easily get taken. So that moves out of the question. We do want to move our knight to safety. This square is no good. This square is no good. No, no. The others look like they would be okay. Any of these other squares. Alternatively, we could defend this knight, so that if the bishop takes, we can take back. Well, the knight is defended, so maybe I'm actually not too worried about this move. And it would be better to put pressure and force him to act. And then, depending on what he does, maybe I could think about castling next turn, which is the final phase of the opening, right, is castling. So we're pretty deep into the game. You know, we're at this point, we're 12 moves in. Haven't castled yet. He hasn't either, but it's just something to think about. Our opponent was very aggressive, so let's see. So knight comes out. There's now 2 attackers on a7 with only 1 defender. And if he takes with the knight, then if I take, then I lose the rook, and if I don't, then I lose the bishop. So it's a pretty good move. It's tricky. And I was going to castle, but this is a pretty aggressive move, so I'm thinking that I should be defending. And how can I defend here? We've got 2 attackers here, and I'd like to defend this square with another piece. I don't see an easy way to do that. One thought I had would be to just put pressure on the queen, but then I get taken by the bishop. I see an opportunity for a potential fork here, but I don't have anything else attacking that square. What to do? Yeah, it's tough. I really don't feel like I have a better move here. I could take care of some of this tension in the center, take, and maybe take with the queen, so that if he moves the knight, then I get the queen. If he moves the queen, I get the knight. That's an option. So let's do that. Okay, so coming back to defend. I still have 2 defenders here, and he only has 2 attackers. So now I'm thinking maybe I'll put pressure on this knight to get it out of there. Okay, putting pressure on this pawn now. We still haven't castled, and I don't I don't love that. I think now is a good time for this move. Wait, let me think. Hang on. We've got two attackers here. Oh, okay, this is not good. So if he takes with the knight, he's forking the king and the rook, which means if I move the king, I lose the rook. If I take with the queen, he gets my queen and I have nothing to retaliate with, which means I need to defend this square. I'd like to go here, but that's protected by the knight, and that also puts me in check. I mean, the other thing is just take here, and then if he comes in with the queen, I can. There's no problem. So I think this is my best move. I do see the bishop incoming though. I can block with a pawn. That's an option. Okay. Man, this is a tough opponent. Okay, so at this point, let's call this a... it is an attacking move, but we've got two defenders. I do need to castle soon. I'm thinking actually, though, that this side is weak. Like, there's just not a lot of protection over here. So I'm wondering if it would be better to castle queen side. Because this is a pretty empty empty area. Our opponent still hasn't castled either. I think I need to get these pieces developed over here and then castle queen side. So you can see how we're in a tricky spot. We're 15 moves in, we still haven't castled, and we need to make more moves to get to a point where we feel comfortable castling. So let's bring out this bishop to defend this square, because when we move the king, we'll want another defender. We've already got a defender here. The queen can come out. Where can the queen come out to? Maybe here? Okay, so at this point, let's castle. So yeah, my next thought was actually here to check the king, but now that's protected, so that's definitely not the move I want anymore. So I still have a defender here for this queen's attack. And at this point, I've completed the opening. I have my king in safety. My minor pieces are developed. My opponent has lost the only two minor pieces he's developed and has really just been using his queen pretty aggressively. So I think the next thing is perhaps to take here. Take that pawn. We're up. Oh, we're up a minor piece too, I just realized. Other thoughts are maybe to start developing the major pieces here. If I take with this pawn, then this file is opened up pretty nicely, so I like that. Let's do that. Okay, we've got two attackers here now. So I think the remedy is pushing this pawn up. Cool. I like that our opponent moves quickly. Even though this isn't a time-controlled game, our opponent moving quickly does kind of force us to think a little bit faster, respond to their moves a little better. So here I can do a trade if I want and kind of disrupt sort of his pawn formation right here. What else is an option? I can... Be nice to be able to do something with this queen here. He's obviously defended by... this square is defended by the rook. And this bishop actually isn't protecting anything, so I think I would like to do the trade. Okay. What next? We can... This knight is not defending anything either, so maybe we can move it forward to put pressure on this queen. The problem with that move, though, is that after that, our knight doesn't have anywhere great to go. Maybe here. But the queen will probably anticipate something like that, or the opponent, and might move their queen to protect this square. I could decide to push this pawn up, and if they take, I can do a queen trade. And I think that's what I'm going to do because I don't want this queen to get me into trouble. So offering a trade here, basically, of queens. Oh, yeah, that works too. So let's do that trade. And wait, what piece did I lose for that? Just a pawn. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to take the pawn and check the king. The king only has one square that he can go to because this is the square he's in check, and these two are controlled by the rook. So we're forcing him here. Now we want to start looking for maybe things like forks, pins, skewers, anything we can do on the king. If I had a light squared bishop, I could do some kind of skewer here, trade bishops. I only have the dark squared bishop, though. So maybe it's time for our rook to come out. Okay, potentially looking to trade rooks. Here I'm going to actually move my bishop, thinking that I have two attackers here. And if I take with the bishop, there's nothing he can do to take me back. I also thought about taking with the rook, but that doesn't... It puts the king in check and would actually... So let's see. It would force the king to this square, actually. I don't hate that idea. Alternatively, I could initiate this trade right here, but I do like the idea of forcing his king to one square. Looking for potential opportunities to checkmate now. If I go here, I can force the king here now. And does that help in any way? Since we're ahead, I am going to trade. And now I'm going to start, I think, taking care of these pawns. So let's move here. Cool. Take the pawn. So at this point, we don't have any pawns that we can push to the end without getting taken by the king. But we can... okay, so this pawn is being defended, but maybe we can make something else up. Let's bring our knight in to help. Not there, though, because that's not a safe square. Maybe let's bring this pawn up. So let's see. If I go here, then I can push this up. Oh yeah, this, I like this. Now I can attack this bishop. Okay, defended by the rook. If he takes with the rook, we can trade, and that's fine. I'm going to now bring up the knight to help out. Okay, so we're trading here. And what can we do? We do want to get rid of some of these pawns. Oh, our knight is in danger too, so let's move our knight to a safe square. And I want to be careful to keep my pieces on dark squares. Let's push up this pawn. He's probably going to come and attack. Oh, he can't go there. Oh, he can't even get to my bishop. Okay, because these are guarded by the bishop itself, and this is guarded by the knight. Now, if I push, he can just do something like this, and that's a little bit frustrating, but it does mean that his pawns are basically stuck there. Oh, this was not a good move. He could have taken the pawn for free. That was my mistake, but maybe that wasn't the best move for him. I don't know. Okay, so he can come here and kind of be sneaky there. I think I need to use my king to start taking care of the pawns on the left side. Yeah, because he's going to get that pawn now. Okay, maybe looking to block my access here, potentially. Okay, he's looking to attack this pawn, so I'm going to push it up. Now here's the problem. If I try to push this pawn up and he takes, I can't take back with the king. So I need to try to bully this bishop out of here. But then the problem is, if I move here to bully the bishop out, then I can't push the pawn with protection. So this is tricky. This is quite tricky. I could move the knight out of the way, maybe down here somewhere. I could also push this pawn up. It's definitely a tricky bit at the end here. So now if I do something like this, I should be able to get the king out of here. I can push this one forward. This one's not defended anymore, but so if I go here, the king can come here, or there, or there. Oh no, not there. Never really gotten to a situation like this. So this is quite interesting. The king is... Oh, wait, this is a good situation. The king can't move. Blocked by this pawn, and now blocked by this pawn. So I need this bishop to get out of the way, and if it does, then I can go here for checkmate. And to get the bishop out of the way, I don't know if that's going to happen, but now I can take care of these pawns. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that bishop will not give up this line now because it knows that there's, if it does, there's checkmate in one. But pretty soon there will be checkmate anyways, so... Oh wait, this is definitely... Oh, so wait, if I take, that's stalemate, so I don't want to do that. Wait for the bishop to move, and then go checkmate. Okay. Not checkmate, because it can block, and I think this should be checkmate. Okay, cool. So that was a very tricky game, but let's analyze this and see where we could have done better. So again, the whole point was to really focus on the opening, but our opponent played so aggressively it was kind of hard to do that. So let's go to analysis here. Go back to the beginning. Okay, so our opponent plays d4, and we respond with controlling the center. Here we're met with an attacking move, so we're going to defend and trading pawns. So the pawn trade. Oh, interesting. Yeah, this might have been a better move, like the computer's saying, because that still allows me to attack this pawn. So noted. Here we are developing minor pieces, but our opponent was putting a lot of pressure on us and made it tricky to actually get those pieces developed. So here was a good move. So here we are pushing this pawn forward to create a discovered attack on the queen, forcing it out of here, because we don't like that queen there. So now it's saying take. I think we eventually did do this this exchange. We didn't have enough defenders, though. I think that was the reason we didn't do it. We have 3 attackers, and our opponent had 3 defenders. So not sure why it wants that move, but here I'm developing the bishop. They develop the bishop back. Here I'm putting pressure on that bishop. Again, it wants us to take. I don't know why. Maybe that's something I can explore later. Okay, here, yeah, so here the bishop could have come in and done a check on our king, which would have, we could have blocked with the pawn. I think I even commented on that move. So now we take because the knight has moved, and now there's only 1 defender on this square. So here we're just booting the knight out. And now, so again, pay attention here. We are now 14 moves in. We still haven't castled, and the whole idea of developing our minor pieces is to get us to a point where we can castle. Here it actually does want us to castle kingside, but I mentioned that this didn't feel safe because this just felt like a very vulnerable open area. So I decided to move the queen and finally castle queenside. And so, actually, I wanted to find the point real quick where we went up a minor piece. Oh yeah, so when we put pressure on this knight, they didn't run away. The queen also didn't defend, so that's where we got up a minor piece. And that sort of sets the pace for the rest of the game, where now we're just trading, right? So trading the knight for the bishop. Trading queens, putting them in check. Trading... Not quite. I think here we trade rooks. Yep, trade rooks. Taking some free pawns. here I had... It's interesting. It's saying he should have taken the pawn, but then I could have taken the bishop. I'm not sure why the computer thought that would be the best move here. Nonetheless, we actually had an option to take a bishop, which I didn't see. So there's that. Trade rooks. Interesting. So a check first. They could have taken, and we could have taken the rook. I can see that. Okay. That's an interesting option. But yeah, here we trade rooks. Just trying to simplify the game. Here there was a lot of pawn and king movements. Eventually we get to a point where just skipping ahead a little bit. I'm not too worried about these moves because for me this is like a very interesting situation. Where was the one move I was thinking of? So it sees this is not a very good move, but this is the move that now traps the king and forces this bishop to be along this diagonal. Now there's really nothing that can be done here. I do see it saying it could have moved here to now attack this pawn and then maybe attack there. So that could have been one option for the opponent. I didn't see that, certainly, but basically my thinking was by blocking all these squares, I can now just take care of the pawns over on this left-hand side, which I did, and then finally I pushed that final pawn to promote. I thought this was checkmate, but I forgot about the block, and then finally checkmate.